Good morning, everyone. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Vijay Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, Sardar Patel University of Police Security and Criminal Justice, Jodhpur. Today we are going to cover the Internal Security Management module on India's border management strategies. Firstly, to begin with, we are going to discuss the learning outcomes. There are the following learning outcomes of this module: to inform the learners about the need of border management. Secondly, to make the learner understand the India's border situation, to make the learner understand the problem pertaining to the border areas, to familiarize the learner with the various aspects of the India's border, to understand the reader about the key element of the India's border management strategy. Now, the introduction to the module. India is blessed with a huge land border, and India's international land border runs to 15,107.7 kilometers. We share our international border with 7 countries. They are Bangladesh, with which we share the largest border. Then comes China, with which we share 3,488 kilometers. With Pakistan, we share 3,323 kilometers. With Nepal, we share 1,751 kilometers. With Myanmar, we share 1,643 kilometers. With Bhutan, we share 699 kilometers. And with Afghanistan, we have the smallest border, which is 106 kilometers. So that this total length turns out to be 15,106.7 kilometers. India's coastline is having a total length of 7,516.6 kilometers. Now coming to the individual borders, India's international border, we begin with the lengthiest land border, which is Indo-Bangladesh border. The size of this the total length of this border is 4,096.7 kilometers. The chief characteristic of this border are as follows. This is the lengthiest border of India's lengthiest international border. 5 of Indian states shares the international border with Bangladesh. They are West Bengal, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Tripura and Assam. Apart from that, this border is characterized with huge geographical diversity, which is comprising of plains, riverines, hills, jungles. Because owing to the huge geographical diversity, this border is having a huge porosity also. Now coming to the issues. The main issue with this border is illegal migration. These are also known as Chakma immigrants, which are illegal in its nature. The factors responsible for this illegal migration are pull factors and push factors. Pull factors are those factors which attract these illegal immigrants to cross over the border and enter into Indian territory. And while discussing the push factors, it includes chiefly those factors which forces these immigrants to leave Pakistan and to enter into Indian territory. Now the second major issue is of the smuggling. This border is highly skeptical to the smuggling of different kinds, mainly the cattle smuggling. Apart from that, it is also India has also raised its voice against the Bangladesh border and its territory being used by anti-Indian elements, which chiefly includes United Liberation Front of Assam, that is ULFA, then All Tripura Tiger Forces, that is ATTF, then National Liberation Front of Tripura, that is NLFT, then National Democratic Front of Bodoland, that is NDFP. Now coming to the strategy in order to address the issues which is being faced on this border, that is Indo-Bangladesh border. The strategies are as follows. India has signed the land border agreement and Indian Parliament has ratified it recently through 119 Constitutional Amendment Act, through which we have ratified the 1974 Indira Mujibur or Land Border Agreement. This is a major agreement through which we have exchanged the enclaves in each other's territory. Apart from that, we are also, the second strategy what we have opted for is border fencing, through which we are fencing our border with the Bangladesh to avoid any kind of smuggling or to cut down on the smuggling and illegal immigration. Apart from that, we are having the promotion of the border trade, which includes setting up of the border outpost and integrated check post. These are set up in order to facilitate the movement of goods, services, people across the border. Apart from that, we are also striving for different kind of connectivity services in order to increase the people to people contact, which includes bus services, which is plying between Guwahati and Dhaka, and secondly from Kolkata to Agartala via Bangladesh. Now the another bone of contention between these two nations is Tista Water River Sharing Agreement, which is not being come into force because of n number of reasons behind it. Once this agreement is being shared, it is hoped that the friendly relationship between two nations will be cemented. Now coming to the next border, which is Indo-China border. Now starting with the characteristic. Secondly, after Indo-Bangladesh border, India share its second largest border with China, which is having a total length of 3,488 kilometers. 5 Indian states are having borders with China, which includes Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. Now coming to the other characteristic of this border, which is huge geographical diversity. It is also characterized with plains, riverines, hills, and jungles, as we have seen in the case of Indo-Bangladesh border. Another important thing, because of this huge geographical diversity, this border is having a large extent of porosity, which allows the crossing over of the border from China to India. Now coming to the issues. The main bone of contention between the not so good relationship between India and China is China claims territory in the various states of India. It includes Jammu and Kashmir, which is the Aksai Chin part, then Arunachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Apart from that, because of these counter views on the territory sharing, we entered into a war with China in 1962. Then we are having a border skirmish in 2013 at Daulat Beg Oldie incident near Aksai Chin. The territorial claims and counterpoint of view, which is basically the reason of continuous skirmish across the border and owing to the non-acceptance of McMahon line. Now coming to the strategy part, in order to address the underlying issue on this Indo-China border, they are as follows: promotion of the border trade, then secondly to increase the people to people contact, then apart from that we are also striving for the border talks and bilateral talks from time to time. The mechanism like joint working core group, that is JWG, the agreement on confidence building measures, that is CBMs, in the military field, meeting of the Director General of Military Operation, that is DGMO meetings, then agreement on the maintenance of peace and tranquility along the line of actual control, that is LAC. Now coming to the third largest border, that is Indo-Pakistan border. Now the characteristic, it is the third longest border, having a length of 3,323 kilometers. 4 Indian states shares their border with the Pakistan. They are Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir. This border is also having a huge diversity in terms of plains, jungles, hills and deserts, because of which this border is also skeptical to huge degree of porosity. One of the main key reason of this border being so much talked about and having so many problems is the intense degree of rivalry and animosity among the two nations. As we know, India and Pakistan were divided on religious line, and which was very unpeaceful, or we can say which was very blood driven partition that happened in 1947. Because of this intense rivalry and animosity, we had a war with Pakistan in 1948, then again in 1965, then we had Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971, and lastly the major incidents of border issues with this country was Kargil incursion in 1999. Now coming to the main issues with Indo-Pakistan border are as follows. The main issue is the infiltration of the terrorist and other India elements through these borders. Then smuggling is major issues, majorly the issue of smuggling of drugs, then other goods and services. Then it is the basis of anti-Indian elements, which includes LET, that is Lashkar-e-Taiba, then Indian Mujahideen. These terrorist or Indian anti-Indian elements are not only being trained but also being provided other logistical support by the Pakistan in order to address the issues lying with the Indo-Bangladesh border are as follows. We have gone for the bilateral talks in the realm of civil, political and military administration. Then border fencing, a rupees 4,500 crore project with the name of smart fencing, which is striving for having a laser wall and heat sensor system will be installed on the international border with Pakistan. The idea is to cut down all the illegal immigration and incursions on this border. Then another strategy what we are striving for is promotion of the border trade. It includes setting up of the land custom stations and integrated checkpost in order to facilitate the easy movement of the goods and services across the border. Then we are also going for people-to-people contact through for which we have set up the bus services and railway services between the two nations. Now coming to the next border, which is Indo-Nepal border. Now to begin with the characteristic of this border, it is the fourth longest border with having a length of 1,751 kilometers. 5 Indian states share their border with Nepal. They are Bihar, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Sikkim and West Bengal. Through the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, we have opted for open border with Nepal. Yes, the open border is a welcome step with n number of positives, which includes cementing of the ties and brotherly relationship with Nepal. But with these positives comes the negative aspects also. This open border is used by anti-Indian elements, chiefly Indian, the nations with which we are not having so friendly relationship, to used it as for the illegal activities, chiefly which includes the smuggling and also the transportation of FICN, that is the fake Indian currency notes. The issues with this border are as follows. This border is used for the illegal activities as discussed: smuggling of the goods, fake Indian currency notes, FICN, arms, drugs, human trafficking. Then exploitation of this border by the Indian anti-Indian elements, which includes ULFA using this territory, that is United Liberation Front of Assam, then National Democratic Front of Bodoland and Kamtapur Liberation Organization, that is KLO. And also it is also came to the knowledge of the intelligence agencies that Maoists are also exploiting the open borders with Nepal. Now another issue is forcible capturing of the land. As we know that Himalayan rivers change their routes due to floods, because of which this forcible capturing of the land is also emerged as a major issue, especially in case of the rivers like Susta and Kalapani. Now coming to the strategy in order to address the issues pertaining to Indo-Nepal border. The strategy chiefly includes intelligence sharing and coordination between the security forces of both the nations. It includes sharing of the information about the wanted criminals in the respective countries. The Abdul Karim Tunda and the Yassim Bhaktal were captured from the Indo-Nepal border, which is also a point of appreciation of the coordination between the intelligence agencies of these two countries. Now coming to the second strategy, which is economic exchange. As we know that the more we trade with each other, the more we cement the relationship between the two nations and more people-to-people contact. This gives a leverage to achieve a friendly relationship between the two nations. This is the strategy which is opted in case of Nepal also. We are promoting the economic exchanges through the establishment of transit and trading points on the border in order to accelerate the trade trade in goods and services, and to address the Nepal's geographical limitation. As we know that Nepal is a landlocked country, so in order to export its goods and services, Nepal is also dependent on India for its support and to provide its transit route so that it can export its goods to other countries. Apart from that, we are also being generous, being the largest country in the South Asia, for example, in the Nepal earthquake in the 2015, we have supported them on the humanitarian. We have given them the humanitarian support apart from the other logistical and medical support. Now coming to the next border, which is Indo-Myanmar border. Now the chief characteristic of this border are as follows. It is the fourth longest border, having a length of 1,643 kilometers. 4 Indian states shares its border with Myanmar. They are Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. Again, this border is having a huge geographical diversity, because of which it is also become very porous border. But one of the unique feature about this border is owing to the unprecedented one of the unique feature of this border is there is a strong socio-cultural ethnic ties across the borders, having a strong clan loyalties among the tribal population of the people on the Indian side and on the Myanmar side. And now coming to the issues pertaining to this border. Firstly, the region of the Golden Triangle, which comprising of the Thailand, Laos and Myanmar. This region is famous, or should we call it infamous, for its notorious for the largest production area of the drugs. Now the second major issue is of smuggling, which includes smuggling in arms, ammunition, precious stones and China-made consumer items. Thirdly, it is yes, India has raised its voice against the Myanmar boundary, Myanmar territory being used by anti-Indian elements, which includes use of this border by the ULFA, that is United Liberation Front of Assam, the United Democratic Front of Bodoland, that is NDFP, and Kamtapur Liberation Organization, that is KLO. Apart from that, illegal immigration, that is main issue is of Rohingya Muslims, which are coming into Indian territory from the Myanmar side of the border. Now coming to the strategy, the main strategy includes India has always welcomed the democracy in the subcontinent. So owing to this, India is also pushed for the democracy in Myanmar. And finally, the democratic government, National Democratic League for Democracy, swept the election, and Mr. Hatin Kwai become the president of the Myanmar, which is a welcome state, which is a welcome development. As being a democratic country, we have always strived for the more democracy across the world. So it is hoped that due to this transition from military regime to the democratic setup will cement the relationship between the two nations. Now the promotion, second strategy is the promotion of the border trade, for which we have set up the land custom station, then ICPs and border checkposts. Then the third strategy is to improve the connectivity between the two nations, for which we are pushing for the BCIM corridor, that is Bangladesh, China, India and Myanmar corridor, and the Kaladan project, in order to improve the trade between the two nations and people-to-people contact in these two countries. Apart from that, we are also pushing for the soft diplomacy in order to leverage upon the socio-cultural affinities and ethnic ties between two nations. Now coming to the next border, that is the Indo-Bhutan border. The characteristic of this border are as follows. This is the sixth longest border, having a total length of 699 kilometers. 4 Indian states are having the border with Bhutan. They are West Bengal, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. The process of demarcation of the Indo-Bangladesh border started in 1961 and was completed in the year 2006. Like the Indo-Nepal border, this is also an open border. The only part of the border which is still to be demarcated is the tri-junction point between India, Bhutan and China. Now coming to the issues, one of the major issues which was which happens to be the reason of the SAR relationship with Bhutan is the use of this border by the anti-Indian bases, which includes the organizations like Kamtapur Liberation Organization, KLO, ULFA and National Democratic Front of Bodoland, National Democratic Front of Bodoland, that is NDFP, in the southern Bhutan. Bhutan has also has also shown its responsibility, and they have then the Bhutanese government started the Operation All Clear, which saw the destruction and the uprooting of all the insurgent camps in the Bhutanese territory. The second major issue is of the smuggling, which includes the smuggling of cannabis, liquor, forest products, grocery, fruits and livestock. In order to address the issues pertaining to Indo-Bhutan border are as follows: intelligence sharing and joint operations, as discussed in the last as discussed earlier. Bhutanese government has started the Operation All Clear, which was instrumental in flushing out the and elimination of all the insurgent camps in the Bhutan's territory. Apart from that, we are also striving for the economic exchange and cultural exchanges through the mechanism like border trade post, ICPs and cultural festivals, which are cementing the ties between the two nations. Our border with Bhutan is largely a peaceful one, and for this ruling dispensation in both the countries, the ruling dispensation in both the countries deserve applause. Now coming to this is the end of the India's international land borders. With Afghanistan also we share the border, but we don't have much to discuss about it. Now coming to the India's coastline, having a length of 7,516.6 kilometers. Apart from that, we are having a 2,000 kilometer wide exclusive economic zone. Our coastline supports almost 30% of our population. Our coastline is of critical importance to us by virtue of the fact that India is the 7th largest marine fishing nation in the world, with the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea are rich fishing grounds. Apart from that, these marine zones are blessed with huge natural resources in form of oil and natural gases and other minerals. In order to secure the coastal, in order to secure the coasts and the island territories, we have opted for the three-layered mechanism. In this three-layered mechanism, at the outermost layer, we are having the Indian Navy patrolling the high sea, which is beyond 200 nautical miles. This is also known as the high seas. Now coming to the intermediate layer, which is comprising of the India's exclusive economic zone, that is EEZ. This is between the 12 nautical miles and 200 nautical miles. This is also known as the intermediate zone, as it is between the territorial waters and India's international waters. It is being patrolled by the Coast Guard. Now coming to the territorial waters, which is the innermost layer of the India's coastline, it is patrolled by the coastal police, which is within the 12 nautical miles from our shoreline. Now the issues pertaining to the coastal security are: we are having a lack of trained manpower, then we are having the lack of resources allocation, especially to the coastal police stations which are guarding our territorial waters, inadequacy of the equipment for the monitoring and surveillance of the coastal lines. Then another major issue of concern is the poor infrastructure of the coastal police stations. Now we are going to discuss the strategy which is being opted by the government in order to address the issues pertaining to our coastline and in order to secure our islands. Now following the Mumbai terror attacks, the government has also announced the series of measures for strengthening our coastal security of the country. This includes uniform licensing for the boats. Secondly, better coastal police station management. Thirdly, local intelligence development through trust and incentives to the local population living in these areas. Then the better use of technology for the proper surveillance and monitoring of our coastlines and islands. And finally, streamlining our coastal security schemes. Till now we have discussed our different issues, characteristic and strategies followed for our international land borders and the issues pertaining to our coastal security. Now coming to the final part, that is the conclusion of this module. The strategies, programs, plans for the development of the border areas should factor in the impact on the local population, that is any program or any kind of scheme in order to secure our international land borders or our international marine borders. We have to factor in the impact of such measures and programs and policies on the local population. then the socio-cultural affinities between the people living in these areas across the border and within those particular territories, then the ethnic connection between the people, then the impact on their livelihood, and the cost factor of these programs and schemes, and the resource space with the government. Now, as the largest and the most resourceful country in the South Asia, we need to be more generous and accommodative, and we need to reach out to the other small neighboring countries through the statesmanship and the realistic diplomacy. We have settled enclave issue with the Bangladesh, as we have covered in the covered earlier, that is through the 119th Constitutional Amendment Act. One of the major flashpoint of going out and to having a better relationship with our neighboring countries was shown during the oath ceremony by the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi in 2014, which is seen as a prime example of statesmanship and reinforcement to our neighborhood first policy, in which in this oath ceremony all the neighboring nations head of the states were called upon, and they attended the ceremony also. If necessary, we need to be assertive. So and finally, the option of cold start doctrine and our national red lines must be made very clear to the concerned nations. We need to reach out, but not at the cost of our national security and our national respect. So this is the conclusion part of the module. I hope you all have enjoyed and you have learned through this module. Thank you, everyone.